Good morning again.
Good morning.
Of course, you realize that my brother, I am not Mike Fox, but I'm Andrew Perkins. Mike had to go home late last evening because he really got sick, and so he's home this morning, and we wish him well. First and foremost, I want to, on behalf of our chairman, thank the leadership in Rowan County, Kernersville, and certainly Winston-Salem in terms of demonstrating extremely great leadership and creativity and passion for being able to continue to improve their environments, but more importantly, to cooperate and collaborate with the industries within their communities and turn out and do some fabulous things in terms of getting ready for the future. It was quite heartwarming to be able to see the passionate deliveries from each of the Chamber of Commerce presidents in terms of all three of those locations. It's a beautiful location in the North Carolina Railroad and day before Tuesday night. And then, of course, to go down to the Deer Hartachi facility in Kernersville, and then, of course, end our activities here in Winston-Salem. It's also very, very heartwarming to be able to see that we take the historical facilities that we have in our various areas and turn them and repurpose them into some very fine opportunities for businesses to be able to occupy those and collaborate as well. So on behalf of certainly Chairman Fox and the rest of the board, we want to thank each and every one of the members of Rowan County, Kernersville, and Winston-Salem for their hospitality up to this point. I also want to take the opportunity to point out Pat Ivey and his team, and certainly our folks who travel with us, but Pat Ivey and Mike Wells have done a fabulous job of putting this together. I did not realize that this is the first time we've been to Winston-Salem. And so I think all the other division engineers have to realize I just elevated Winston-Salem to #1 in our off-campus visitations. But seriously, Pat, you and your team did a superb job in being able not only to show us the historical perspective, but also the modernization of Business 40 and all the activities that are going on in and around these in your division. So on behalf of the board and the rest of the members of the team, congratulations. And before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to give Mike an opportunity to say a few words about our visit here as well.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would say really all credit goes to Pat and his team and Ann, and a lot of planning, and the things that could have gone wrong didn't go wrong because of expert planning, for which I had no involvement whatsoever. I want to make it real clear that this training, virtual training, ran on time because of their hard work. I would just make 3 quick comments that I think carry for all of these visits when we go off-site, if you will. First of all, just the transformative power of transportation. You see that the things that have happened here in Rowan County and Kernersville and Winston-Salem all begin with money from DOT and transportation being key to all of this. Secondly, that this innovative way of shutting down business period for the first time in an urban area like this gave us the opportunity, one, to save money, save lives without accidents, and 2 lanes instead of no lanes and all those issues, but also the ability to attract new money, which we did through the nonprofit organizations that added some extra things that give us a little bit of pizzazz, so to speak. And so I would also say that the final thing is that all of us who went through the tour downtown especially recognize that when we talk about multimodal around here, it's not just something we throw in that folks ought to be able to walk around and ride some bikes someplace. It is the new thing in the millennial generation. This is a component. If you look at growth in Nashville and Seattle, Washington, and Oregon, and some of these other tech cities, the kinds of things that we are doing with the Department of Transportation here and thinking in creative ways lead to economic growth in the economy. So I'm just glad that Winston-Salem
Thank you very much, Mike. I'd now like to take this opportunity to call to order the March 7th, 2019 meeting of the North Carolina Board of Transportation. Chris Moore has taken the role, and we do have a quorum. And what I'd like to do is, first of all, read the non-conflict of interest statement. In accordance with State Government Ethics Act, Executive Order Number 2, issued on 2 January 12, 2009, and the NCGNS 14143B-350, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. To comply with this statement and the state ethics law, I ask whether any board member has a known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the board today. If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict when the item appears on the agenda for consideration. Refrain from any undue participation in the particular matter involved, and sign before our notary and declaration that has been provided to you for such purposes. You did also receive the minutes electronically of our last meeting on February the 7th. Are there any corrections and or additions to those minutes of February the 7th? If not, I'd like to have a motion to approve those minutes of February 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. You gotta be with me, and I gotta read this stuff. At this point, though, as our chairman would always say, this is his favorite part, and that is to have the naming of honorary designations of some of our facilities throughout the state. And this morning, we'll have the opportunity for Gus Tullis to come up and read the honorary designation for the Honorable Mark Bass-Knight.
Mr. President, I'd just like the record to reflect my recusal on this vote in the designation name of the bridge.
So noted. Thank you.
Good morning. This is a great day, and I'm really thrilled to have an opportunity to read this resolution. And before I get into it, Pat, I echo what the acting chairman said, and I think we all do. What a wonderful, wonderful job y'all have done, you and Ann and the crowd. And Mike, they were good comments. The resolution for Mark Bass-Knight. Whereas the Dare County Board of Commissioners requested to have the North Carolina Board of Transportation name the new bridge over Oregon Inlet in honor of Mark Bass-Knight, while also honoring the legacy of Herbert C. Bonner. And whereas Bass-Knight grew up in the Outer Banks, he graduated from Manteo High School, and he achieved success as a business owner who provided local job opportunities before embarking on a distinguished career of public service as an elected official. Whereas in 1984, Bass-Knight was elected to serve in the North Carolina Senate, a position of public trust that he held until his resignation in 2011 due to health issues. Whereas during his legislative tenure, Bass-Knight provided leadership and direction as the president pro tem of the North Carolina Senate, where he became the longest-serving Senate president in state history. Whereas throughout his public service career, Bass-Knight was a passionate and effective advocate for advancing education, providing transportation infrastructure, safeguarding the environment, and other issues of public concern. Whereas the Dare County Board of Commissioners believes that naming the new bridge over Oregon Inlet in honor of former Senator Mark Bass-Knight is a fitting tribute to a remarkable man who served the people of the Outer Banks and all North Carolinians in a way that will be long, long remembered. Whereas the Dare County Board of Commissioners requested the North Carolina Board of Transportation retain the Herbert C. Bonner name with an appropriate placard dedicating the portion of the old structure that will remain and serve as a pedestrian walkway after the new bridge is placed in service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the North Carolina Board of Transportation rescinds the previously designated road for Mark Bass Night, and this was along North Carolina 12 and Dare and Hyde counties from US 64 to the ferry terminal in Ocracoke, and named the new bridge over Oregon Inlet as the Mark Bass Night Bridge. That appropriate signs will be erected in a suitable time frame, adopted this 7th day of March by the North Carolina Board of Transportation, signed by Chairman Michael Fox and Secretary James Trogdon. I guess that's my motion.
Thank you very much, Gus. That is in the form of a motion. I'd like to have a second.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's been passed unanimously. Thank you very much, Gus. Appreciate it. Do you have something to say? Here, yeah, come on, that's yours. Come right up this way, yes. I didn't see them back there.
This fancy. You got to step up again and ride it down. Other than that, a pool.
I'm gonna step in front of the screen and it's okay.
Okay.
Yep. Sneak right in here.
Yeah.
He camera ready. The son, watch him smile. Look, he's camera ready.
It's good.
We now get to our information section and the delegated authority. As all the board members understand that the delegated authority to the Secretary of Transportation for items C, D, E, H, and L have been delegated to the Secretary and require no formal approval. However, item C has been noted that all projects were awarded by the Secretary to the low bidder on item C. At this time, we'll have the opportunity to have a presentation by Bob Leake of the Winston-Salem Incorporated. Would you please come forward, Bob? Where are you? Morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Good morning, everyone. I know with great clarity that some of you have a long way to go after this meeting, so I will be brief. My dinner companion, Mr. Debnam, told me that I've got 3 hours to get home. So I'm going to do my best to keep you on schedule this morning, but I do appreciate very much the opportunity to be with you, to share a few things. And first, though, before I start, I just want to thank this board for being in Winston-Salem for the first time. We hope it certainly won't be the last time. We have been delighted to have you here, and we hope that you've enjoyed your visit. I would be remiss if I didn't start by letting most of you know, and I did tell my dinner companions last night, that my grandfather was a division engineer in Division 11 in the 60s, 70s, and very early 80s. and he's from Boone. His name was Jim Council. I don't know if anybody remembers that name. He and Mr. Winkler were great friends. I know some of the facilities there were named for Mr. Winkler. But some of my greatest memories as a child was going up to Boone. My parents would take my brother and myself up and just kind of dump us on my grandparents for 3 or 4 weeks in the summer so they could get a break. And my grandfather would put us in the car, and we would ride with him as he went out to check the various jobs that were going on throughout the mountains of North Carolina. And the one thing that, if you knew my grandfather, he had a sweet tooth for butter pecan ice cream. And he made sure that when we were traveling with him, and I think he did it regardless of whether we were with him or not, was he could find the best ice cream shop in every little town in the western part of North Carolina. And fortunately, when we were visiting, we got to go do that. So I have a great appreciation for what all of you do. I have a real great appreciation for what Pat Ivey and his team does, and I'm delighted to be with you this morning. Again, Pat Ivey and his team, they are members of our team. They are at the table with us. They are helpful. Pat never says no. He doesn't always say yes, but he never says no, and he always tries to figure out a way to help all of us in what we're doing. So having Pat and the DOT team here as part of our partnership for economic development is very, very important. As you know, and you've heard several times throughout this visit, Winston-Salem has been for a long time the only metro area in the state without a completed loop system. And I'm pleased to say that we have made very, very great change in that, as you saw from your visit and from some of the slides that Mark Owen showed last night at dinner. And we're well underway with the eastern leg of our Beltway. We're finishing rapidly the improvements to Business 40 and what's now our new Salem Creek Parkway. And we look forward to that opening early next year and really getting kind of our lifeline through downtown back open and running, along with the improvements on US 52 down around Winston-Salem State. That's going to make connectivity in and out of downtown now much, much better. And so, again, we are excited that you are here. I wanted to take just a couple of minutes, remind a few of you who don't know who Winston-Salem Business Inc. is. We're the community's economic development organization. Our focus is on marketing and promoting this community for businesses to grow and expand. We've got a 3-person team. We've been doing it for a long time. I told Mr. Dedman last night that I've been here about 30 years. He goes, well, I guess you're about settled in now. And I said, yes, sir, I am. At least I'm trying. But we've worked with about 143 companies over the last 30 years that have put businesses in Winston-Salem or grown businesses. And almost to a person, transportation was one of the top 2 or 3 issues that they talked about every single time they came. Access to market, getting their products out, getting their raw materials in, getting their employees in and out, getting to the ports, all of those things are vital when you're trying to grow business and industry in this community. Our role is to market and promote and sell Winston-Salem and Forsyth County to companies, and we do it through the normal marketing and promotional things that you would expect a community like us to do. I would like to really spend, though, the balance of my time reinforcing a couple of key projects that you've already heard a lot about, so I won't go into great detail. But I do want to close with a fair amount of time on Whitaker Park, which is a really exciting project that we have. So I call these transformational projects. We had the good fortune to have a couple of key things happen in this community over the course of the years. The first being our Innovation Quarter, which you are sitting in the middle of and took tours of last night and got to see kind of where we're headed with that. Of course, our Smith-Reynolds Airport and then Whitaker Park. But let me reiterate a couple things that you heard from Mark last night, and I won't go into great detail, but just as a reminder, we're one of only 84 designated national GA airports in the country. And because of that, we have the ability to land just about anything that flies. We can service just about anything that flies. And we have a tremendous amount of annual operations, as you can see, coming in and out of Smith-Reynolds Airport. It is not without its challenges. It has been kind of tucked away in the eastern part of downtown for a number of years, and it has been kind of grown up around, as you can see, from the residential areas around it. But we're excited because the economic impact of this project is significant. 3,500 plus jobs, direct and indirect, related to the operations of that airport. And the economic impact brings $28.4 million in tax revenue back to the state and local area. And we're excited about that airport, and we're working to try to do some unique things. This map, and I won't try to explain it to you completely, one of the primary projects, though, is that yellow area. We're redoing our ramps to make it easier for airplane traffic to move around on the ground. We're adding some new hangar space. We're improving several of the tie-down areas and really trying to improve the access to the airport. You heard about our new aviation center. I did talk to the head of our community college about a week ago. They have signed the design documents and are underway now with full design. The county passed $16 million in bonds to build this facility, and we hope that sometime late 2020 to early 21, this new training facility will be open on the campus there. And you saw this slide last night, some of the improvements of the terminal area. What we're hoping to do with our airport is make it a destination, not only for people flying in and out, but also people can go possibly have a nice restaurant here, sit and watch airplanes take off with a view deck, those kinds of things, to really bring back the spirit of the airport where Piedmont Airlines was founded so many years ago. It's a shame we don't still have passenger service in and out of the airport, but we do have a tremendous amount of corporate traffic and also a large maintenance facility on site. So that's Smith Reynolds Airport. The Innovation Quarter, again, you have heard probably ad nauseum all the things you need to know about it, but again, to reiterate, we were in the biotech place last night for dinner, which is the top left slide, an old tobacco manufacturing facility completely converted to an R&D lab space by Wake Forest University. Of course, the campuses of Forsyth Technical Community College are on site now. The medical school for Wake Forest University is there, and then of course our newly opened Bailey Power Plant and all of the activity going on there. That's an exciting place to go and a fun place to hang out. And so I would invite you to come back and enjoy some of the hospitality that goes on in and around the Innovation Quarter. The quarter itself is about a 250-acre urban park. We believe it is the largest urban research park in the country. Not trying to compete with Research Triangle Park, which is a suburban park, or it was a rural area park, now a suburban park. This one is actually part of downtown. We looked around and we can't find anything else that's any bigger. We've got a 25-year build-out plan, currently have about 42 companies and 900 employees. One of our keystone companies is the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine and the Armed Forces Institute for Regenerative Medicine, which partners with WFIRM, and they are growing body parts in a lab right now. It's amazing to go through and tour what they are doing. And we believe at build-out, this project could have 6 million plus square feet of space, which would just completely change the whole aspect of downtown. It's divided into 3 sections. We've got kind of the northern section up here, which is the kind of residential, office, retail, service. That's where we were for dinner last night. The central section is kind of geared a little bit more toward pure R&D, and we've got some land for future development of what we believe could be mid and high-rise headquarter type space. And then the bottom section is larger footprint space that would allow for manufacturing and allow for larger users to come in. And so, again, Innovation Quarter and again, butting up against the new Salem Parkway and US 52, the transportation access to this project is vital, and we appreciate what you all have done to help support what that is. I want to close, though, with Whitaker Park, because this, I believe, is probably could be one of the most exciting projects, not only in Winston-Salem, but in the Triad and maybe even in North Carolina. A very, very unique project. We haven't found anything else like it in the state of North Carolina. But in April of 2017, R.J. Reynolds gifted most of their manufacturing campus to the community, to a nonprofit called WPDA, Inc. The campus is about 1.7 million square feet of space. It's in these red areas that you see here. And there's, in addition to the 1.7 million square feet of space, we have about 120 developable acres that are located in there. We have broken it into what we call our West and East Campus, and the nonprofit that was formed to take ownership of this property is right in the middle of the redevelopment efforts right now, and I'm going to cover those very briefly. Our West Campus was the traditional manufacturing campus. The big building that you see centered kind of in the slide here is about 850,000 square feet, and then adjacent to it is a 2-story warehouse with about 212,000 feet on each floor. Down here was one of R.J. Reynolds' headquarter buildings. This was also one that you're in now, but as they grew, they opened this one. That was donated to Wake Forest University about 18 to 20 years ago, and is still operating as an office operation for Wake Forest. But In December of last year, Cook Medical purchased this large building here, 850,000 square feet. And they plan to convert that to a state-of-the-art clean room medical device manufacturing location where they make endoscopy equipment. Cook is currently in our market, but they're in 5 different buildings. They're kind of disjointed, and they wanted to bring everything under one roof. And so really, really excited about what's going on with that. 650 employees. They plan to grow that to as many as 1,000 plus over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. And they will start their construction work on redeveloping this building sometime this fall. They're in the middle of their due diligence right now and their design work. So a really exciting project there. And the warehouse building is being looked at by several projects as we speak. This is a rendering of what the campus, what Cook hopes to do. Actually, right now, where this little park area is about 120,000 square feet of building. They plan to tear that down. It abuts their corporate cafeteria dining area here, so they're hoping to be able to have some green space added. They're going to punch up the green area out front. They're going to redo the fountain, which is currently out front, shrink it, but keep a fountain feature. And really make this kind of a showcase for them here in that part of Winston-Salem. We plan to hopefully add another park down in the corner here and then create some kind of little walking area around the whole project so that employees will want to go out during the day and enjoy their opportunity to do that. We expect it'll take about 2 years for them to complete this project, and it really has become our signature kickoff to Whitaker Park, and we can't wait for them to get going. The East Campus is one that I think it could be the most exciting. It's somewhat of a blank canvas at this point in time. There's about 8 buildings on this property right now, right here, several up here, 2 here, 2 here. As you can see right now, we're having a bit of a challenge because all it is parking lots, because this was a single-tenant campus. And so you'd come in one gate and you'd drive around on all the parking lots. So we're getting ready to do some pretty massive road work there. What's very interesting, though, is these 2 red brick buildings, which were built in the late 30s, are destined to be a new residential development, about 140 unit apartment complex. Also interesting is these buildings, initially there was some World War II POW labor that went into building those buildings. Kind of interesting, if you recall, the U-boats, German U-boats that were captured off the coast of North Carolina, those prisoners went to Butner, and then some of those prisoners matriculated up here, and we've got some documents that show that those folks were here. And then later, those folks became friends with locals, and there have been some letters exchanged in our historical packets after the war between the folks that came to Winston-Salem that were, I guess, technically German prisoners of war at the time. It's in the Historic Register. It's going to be a really neat project, and we're excited to get that started later this year. But as I said, we've got to finish out a road network. What better to close with the Department of Transportation than talking about roads? And so this is the road design for that East Campus. What we hope to do is this is Shore Fair. All of Wake Forest University's athletic campus is right here. Football, basketball, baseball, indoor tennis is all located across the street from Whitaker Park. What this is Akron Drive. If this map were larger, it would take you back to US 52, which is right here, and then Smith Reynolds Airport that I talked about a few minutes ago, all within about 2 miles of this interchange right here at Indiana, Akron. So what our goal is to bring Shore Fair through, cross the railroad, that's fun, and then tie into Akron Drive, which will give us connectivity all the way back to US 52. We have actually let the contract for this portion of the road right here. As you have probably heard on some of your road projects, ours came in higher than anticipated. The cost of construction has gone up significantly, from when we first started this project just a few years ago. However, we are working with Pat, we're working with the city and the county and others to try to make sure that we've got enough funds to build this piece of road. It's vital for us to move both the West Campus Cook people as well as whoever comes onto this campus back out to the highway and get them back to where they need to be or get their products in and out. So we're in process with that. We are also working with your rail division and Pat's local group and Norfolk Southern on potentially getting a rail crossing that would allow us then to have direct access back into Akron. And then, of course, long-term, we know, and Pat has mentioned that the Akron improvements, Akron Drive improvements, are kind of out there as we continue to improve our beltway system and everything else. We hope we can revisit what's going on in Akron, because with Wake Forest University University there, as well as the future development. We believe that this particular project could end up with somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000 people total when you add what's going on with Cook and the potential opportunity here located there. So again, in a nutshell, those are 3 projects. I appreciate you giving me a moment to brag about those. We're excited about what's going on in this community. Again, I want to thank you for taking a few moments of your time to listen to me and also to spend 2 or 3 of your days in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, Kernersville, and our community. We will welcome you back anytime. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I know you have a lot on your agenda. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Bob. That was very comprehensive. The last informational item we have is that at your places, we do have the product evaluation program update, so you can review those at your leisure or as you drive back to your places of residence. We'll now move into our action item section. The first item up for business today is that per the state GS 143B-350E, the board among us need to select a chair and a vice chair for the next 2 years. And what I'd like to do now is to open the nominations for the vice chair of the Board of Transportation for the next 2 years. Kelly?
I nominate Nina Schlossberg.
Are there any other nominations? At this point, then, I'd like to have a motion to close the nominations.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Gus, second. Thank you. All those in favor of electing Nina Schlossberg Landis as the vice chair of the Board of Transportation, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It's been passed unanimously. Thank you. The election of our chairman for the next 2 years, I'd like to have a nomination, open a nomination for chair of the Board of Transportation for the next 2 years.
Mike Buck.
Thank you.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair, but I do want him to be a little more enthusiastic in the next 2-year term.
I'll make sure I'll send him a note. Very good. I'd like to close the nomination for the chair of the Board of Transportation. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you very much. The next item is the approval of the Highway Maintenance Improvement Program. As most of you are aware, Patrick Norman did provide us the Highway Maintenance Improvement Program update last month. It's now on our agenda for voting for the 2020-2024 Highway Improvement Maintenance Program for the state of North Carolina. Thank you. Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? It's been passed unanimously. Thank you very much. We're now moving to approval of projects. I'd like to remind each of the board members that if you need to be or have a recusal, to be ensured to turn in your completed absentee forms to Chris Moore, our board secretary, and this will ensure that the meeting minutes are properly recorded. I'd like to now ask that items C, D, E, H, and L, as they have been delegated to the secretary, those, let me see my last item here, make sure I don't screw this up. The action items for approval on the other items, I'd like to have a motion to approve those for going forward.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I just note my recusal for the record?
Yes, sir.
I just have 3. On page M18, it's item B-2506WM, item O, it's project R-2307B, and then on R-10, it's project 34497.2. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, London.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the abundance of caution, I'd also like to recuse myself from the following line items. I-1, I-1A, K4, K5, M4, M8, M24, and agenda item N. And that concludes my application.
Thank you, Landon.
Mr. Chairman, I, abundance of caution, would like to recuse myself from, it's page 49, project number U6195.
Thank you. Mike?
Page 4, item O, agreements concerning Norfolk Southern.
Thank you.
Done the paperwork.
Grady?
Mr. Chairman, item O, page 10, project U 5925, I'd like to recuse myself.
Thank you very much. Other business and closing remarks. Have I missed anything, Ann? Thank you very much. Thank you. All those in favor of the yes, sir.
Let me make the motion to approve.
Yes. Motion to approve. Second. Thank you very much. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you. Our next meeting for the Board of Transportation will be in April. And the schedule for April 3rd to 4th, we've been moving that, will be at, no, wait a minute, let's see here. We'll be in Raleigh next week, that's right, but I wanted to make, the point I want to make is that the meeting in April, in May, will be in Fayetteville, our next travel meeting, and that's been moved through to the 30th in order to be down there to be able to have a wonderful opportunity to see what's going on in the Fayetteville area. Are there any other items to be brought before the board today? If not, I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good to be with you as always.
Thank you. Hey, Hugh, I can't thank you enough.
All right.
I appreciate it.